Welcome back to Just Radio, the number one radio in the flipping world. And so that's a song called Run Go, and it says, "Where are we gonna run go?" And we need to make our motherland a better place. By Stone Boy, they are playing right here on Just Radio, the number one radio in the world. So Kidogo, uh, this is our motherland, and I've really seen lately the government is kind of struggling to think of how it's going to raise money. It needs a budget of 3 trillion. Actually, it has given a limit to the Kenya Revenue Authority to have collected 3 trillion. I think in the next financial year, and so KRA needs 3.3 point probably something trillion by the end of the year. The president is suggesting to have every single person who is above the age of 18 years have a KRA pin, which is not a bad thing, but unless they remove a filing of nil returns, because I don't even know what an 18-year-old is going to file. Yeah, very few 18-year-olds actually can pay taxes actually, and I think that's a good idea, but again, it's still not a good idea because now when you have all 18-year-olds have a KRA pin, they're gonna file what nil returns. Of course, definitely, as all of other people do. Whether you're 20, you're 18, we probably, if you're not in a place where the government get direct access to you, you're filing nil returns. We are filing nil returns. So the government really doesn't need to think about increasing the number of people with the pins, but rather I think about how the people with the pins already, how the government can maximize on them paying taxes, yeah, and leaving alone the people who have the pins and so on and so forth. I think there are some few things we can give, or rather advice we can give the government. I don't know if they listen to us, but let me just try. I'm gonna just think it out loud, kidogo kidogo too, and then you can tell me in the comment section if you think they can work, or you can also add an idea basically of what we can tell our government to maximize on having money. So here I have one thing, yeah. When you make a mistake, say a traffic offense, you're probably charged a lot of money as a fine, yeah. And so what do you do as a normal Kenyan citizen? The government is charging you, say what? I don't know, say speeding. I don't know how much is charged for over speeding. And so I think they should at least say, for example, you're being charged what? 5,000, 10,000, I don't know how much it is. So when you're charged 50,000 or 10,000, you have a police officer here who's going to ask you for a small amount of money, say 1,000 bob, and you figure out the process of you paying the 10,000. First of all, is tedious. Second of all, it's very expensive. So what you do, you end up giving the 10,000, no, the 1,000 to this probably police officer. The 1,000, the government loses on the 10 because of what? Very expensive fines, number one. Number two, it's very difficult to make those payments and those fines. Probably you have to go to court. Then your cause is listened, you're fined, which is a very big process. You can't have that time to just go to courts nini because you're caught speeding. No. So what should the government do? Should reduce on the offenses, on the fines. I'm overspeeding. It's when you overspeed, it's standard. It's 500 bob or 1,000 bob, and so the government won't lose on the 10,000, but it will gain on the 1,000, because if probably the government charges 10,000, say 10 people pay, that's 100,000. But if 1,000, if it charged 1,000 bob, and everybody pays like 1,000 people pay, that's 1,000,000. So the government is losing a lot of money, because if they were to charge, say for example, 10,000, 1,000 bob, they get 1,000,000 instead of getting 100,000 from 100 people, who will pay? Because all the others will just pay as fines, to as corruption to, for example, police officers. So for me, I think the government should really reduce on the fines, because now when the fines are so high, you tend to go the corruption way. But if something is something is affordable, why go that route of why go that route of bribing someone? If at all it's 1,000, I'm gonna pay 1,000. There's no problem. Let me pay 1,000 instead of going. And now they make the process of payment easy. Say for example, every car has a Teams account. Every car is linked to someone in the National Transport and Safety Authority websites. Everyone has a Teams account with their car and so on and so forth. So it should be very simple. This is your car. The number plates are seen. That car is linked to your account, and you're fined there. And then you're given probably an ultimatum of 60 days. You make sure you have paid the money. And what happens? The government makes money, because after 60 days you're reminded from your Team's account. Otherwise there's a penalty for late payments or whatever. And there was a point that you'll have to do something with your car, whatever, and you'll have to pay. So they make it efficient and easy to pay those things. Make it easy. This is the government. It has money. Anything can happen with the government. You can get the best, people in technology. You can get the best. You have money. The government has money. So make sure if I go to my Team's account, I can just go pay fine. It's an M-Pesa thing. Everyone has M-Pesa. We are lucky. We have that. And an M-Pesa, STK push comes up, and somebody pays. It's easy. The government gets money. It's easy for you. It's easy for us. The government has money to invest in all those things. So that's one thing. Reduce the fine prices, the fine charges. You can get now other things like permits, house approvals. They're very expensive. You get a house approval and you're being charged 100,000, and you wonder, oh Jesus, am I building the whole country, or what is happening? You've paid everything. All the things you're going to pay have been paid taxes for. But now you get probably a house approval. You're supposed to pay, if you go the right way, you're supposed to pay hundreds of thousands, or probably tens of thousands of shillings. And so what do? They are the one who I think make it hard for us. House approvals, first of all, it becomes very hard, a tedious process, which it is very difficult, and you avoid it. How? You get someone, people out there in those big offices, they need money. They're gonna tell you, instead of you paying 100,000 shillings, just give me 30,000 shillings, and you won't have anyone disturbing you. So what does the government lose? The government loses on all the money that it wanted. It loses on actually the fewer amount of money it could have charged. Say for example, the house approval thing, the government says it's 20,000. If the government says that thing is 20,000, every single person is gonna pay. Every single person is gonna pay. I don't wanna get involved in corruption. It's 20,000. It's okay. I'm going to take my 20,000 and pay, or rather 10,000, whatever the amount the government decides. And now every single house that is built pays money. So we do quick maths, yeah. 100,000 people are building in say a certain county. They all pay. 100,000 people pays 10,000. 100,000 people, when they pay 10,000, 100,000 people, they pay 10,000. That's 1 billion shillings. Yeah. But if a thousand people only in a whole, probably, let's do it a country, yeah, they pay 100,000 shillings. That's 100 million shillings. The government is losing 900 million shillings because of what? All those people that are supposed to pay aren't paying. That money is going to people's pockets. Now, instead of me paying 100,000, you are the big person. You're the big person in those government offices. What do? You charge me 30,000. The government loses on all 100,000. It loses on the 10,000 that it could have asked for. Because of what? High charges. So make it very easy. And of course, very cheap. So everyone who's building can afford to pay. Now someone is building a small house and they're being asked for thousands and thousands of shillings. What do? Either they hide from the city council, those people, the council people, or what other thing do? They go the corruption way. So the government is really losing on it, as it can be seen clearly. The government shouldn't be struggling. Make it cheaper for everyone to pay, and then you get a big amount of money instead of having few people who will afford to pay 100,000. Just something you should think. Those are some of the things that I think the government collectively should collect a lot of money from, and other things which are very easy things, such things like parking. I went to the Nairobi County some time back. I think last week or last week, but one I can't remember. And parking is going for what? I had I think that time I was in a truck. Yeah, there was one time I was in a small car, and then the time I was in a truck. So when I'm in a truck, you just stopped. They come. Guess how much they're charging? This car is 500 bob. What do I do? What does someone decides to do? The person who's actually charging is like, either you pay 500 for official, so the government gets the money, or you give me 200. Food for thought. What will you do? Because now the government charges are very expensive. If at all, the government just says it's 100 bob. I can't struggle, having to argue with all those people. Ati sasa mia tunaulizania nini mia? Unaget? The 100, let me just pay direct to the government. So instead of the government losing on the 500 because it's charging very expensive, it gets all the 100. For example, if you go to Nairobi right now, you will find private private parking spaces. And in those spaces, there are individuals who charge half the amount the government charges. If you go in a small car in Nairobi, I think it's 200 bob. But you will find an area where those people have hundreds and hundreds of cars for 100 bob. You pay 100 shillings. So who's losing? The government is losing on all the money. The government is losing on all the money. The 500 it wants, the 200 it wants, by those people going out there and getting the parking spaces for 100 bob. So you get very few people. People will always hide nini. So make those things cheap, and everyone will afford to pay. And the government will have money in excess, by the way. If it was to be asked for 100 bob for parking, I'll just pay simply. It's 100 bob, and make those things known by the people. So 100 shillings for parking, I'll pay comfortably. Now you're charging me 500. Jesus, how am I gonna do it? And so it's very simple. Make the things cheap, and then improve on the technology. Make it easy, fast, and actually reliable. If you're charging me anything to do with my car, charge my team's account. Find me there. I don't have to go to court. I don't have to go where. Just a police officer is able to prove probably all those things. Why am I speeding? What speed and evidence probably. I don't know, maybe how. It's the government. It knows how it can do all these things. My team's account is charged, and in 60 days I'm supposed to pay from my team's account. So I go to my team's account and pay fine. You get how much money I've been charged. I pay the fine, and the government gets the money. But now the government is making things very difficult. People are going to pay handsomely for convenience. So the government makes sure everything it does is convenient to us. And when what I want is convenient, I'll pay. By the people will pay anything for convenience. So even actually add that 50 shillings that the government adds for convenience fee. Now my fine is 10,000. I don't know. I've committed so many offenses on the road for the last 1 month. So right now I have a fine of 10,000. I have 60 days from the date, and then I can pay. I go to my team's account, log in there, make the payment, and we're good to go. The government gets the money, and I'm not disturbed because the one has time to go to courts. No one has time. We don't have time to go to courts, man. We don't have time. So when the government makes sure that we don't waste time going out there to courts to pay all those fines. I mean, we good. The government gets the money. You don't have to have 18-year-olds on KRA. Why? The 18-year-olds don't have money to pay. What are they paying? 18-year-old is someone fresh from high school. What are they paying? They're actually struggling now. And I mean, the government improve on technology, make it instant, fast, and reliable, and actually easy to use. By the way, because it's very easy. Go there, pay fine, and you're good to go. The government gets the money. We feel good, and no one feels anything bad. I mean, that's some simple advice to the government. So if you have any thoughts on ideas or areas that you feel the government is charging people excessively, and this is actually so huge, tell me in the comment section, and we can help the government make some money because this is a home and motherland. This is just radio, the number one radio in the world. See you guys in a bit.